I collect streamers' opinions about the nerf.
Welcome back!
Most popular opinions.
Hey guys!
And it's time to talk about some nerfs.
Yesterday, big news came out from the Hearthstone client.
Balance changes.
They're gonna be changing 4 cards.
That are currently, I can say, pretty dominating the meta.
So hey, Blizzard did something awesome.
If we take a look at what cards are getting nerfed, it are Patches the Pirate,
Bonemare,
Raza,
and of course, Corridor Creeper.
The 3 neutral cards are a really big deal.
Nerfs are finally coming.
Really happy about the announcement that there are nerfs.
This is like the second best part of Hearthstone. The best part is obviously we get new expansion content, and the second best part is we get a lot of significant and impactful nerfs.
Let's take a look at the balance changes.
So the first card that's getting nerfed is going to be
Bonemare?
Yeah, I think they should nerf Bonemare. I think it is good.
And very simply here, Blizzard upped the mana cost of Bonemare from 7 mana to 8 mana.
8 mana is a lot.
A 1 mana difference in a card is typically significant, but not significant enough to kill the card.
8 mana is a lot.
Still, it can be a playable card.
We've seen examples of Gadgetzan Auctioneer and Leroy in the past.
And I think this is an absolutely reasonable.
So that does make the card worse, and that does make those decks a little bit worse. That's very important to realize.
Tempo Rogue is gonna get shafted a little bit because they can't play Bonemare.
Frankly, I'm not even sure Bonemare needs a nerf right now anymore.
He was kinda too strong for 7 mana. It was always like turn 7 I have to play around Bonemare.
So I wasn't targeting Bonemare quite as much as I had been in the past.
But he was not the most problematic one in a way, or like the most broken one.
The playability is reduced a tad, but still a card that might show up from time to time in lists that are able to use it really well.
But I'm really happy they did, because I think it was not a cool card. It was really also design-wise, it broke the 7 mana curve, where it was the only card getting played in every deck.
Priest plays Free from Amber, for Forbidden Shaping, and all these cards that are cost 8 or more, right? And now this is just even worse.
In fact, Bonemare is the least run of these 3, but it's understandable that in a move away from Neutral Stone that they would still hit the 3rd most popular neutral behind Corridor Creeper.
Interestingly enough, maybe Evolve Shaman is not bad with Bonemare now, because you can play Bonemare and then you can evolve it or something.
Perfect nerf. Blizzard got this one right.
So I feel like that Bonemare's kind of dead now, you know?
This is actually a pretty fair nerf.
So yeah, I think it's good. That's actually kind of a big nerf.
So let's go ahead and start off with the nerf that I've called for the most often and most recently, and the one I think was the most desperately needed.
Corridor Creeper!
0 mana 5/5 to a 0 mana 2/5.
Corridor Creeper is now a 7 mana 2/5.
Its attack from 5 down to 2. That's a huge change.
So that is a gigantic nerf.
Oh my god, that is just actually disgusting.
It's completely dominated Hearthstone since his release in Kobolds and Catacombs.
Oh man.
This card was just everywhere. You think this card is everywhere in Standard, this card is also everywhere in Wild.
Really had to get nerfed. I don't like the nerf in the way they nerfed it.
I think, unfortunately, they have pretty much killed Corridor Creeper with this nerf.
I did not expect. I thought they were gonna make this like 9 mana 5/5 or something.
So the fact that they nerfed it is amazing.
Yeah, this card had to get nerfed.
Now, of course, I'm glad he's getting nerfed. I think he deserved it.
But look at the stats, guys. It's a 7 mana 2/5. Well, let's say it like this. 0 mana 2/5.
You know, like a 2/5 is so bad in Constructed. It doesn't even trade with anything.
Corridor Creeper is going to be really, really hard to play with these changes.
From the cards that I see here, I think Corridor Creeper is not getting played anymore.
That card is probably gone, especially with Patches also getting nerfed.
So I feel like Corridor Creeper is actually just dead.
Now, of course, right away, everybody's going to drop this card, forget about it, call it terrible. But as time passes, I think it might sneak back in to a deck.
I think it's a card that will return if it's still in the Standard format.
Besides Shaman,
if there are decks out there that are viable playing tons and tons and tons of tokens.
In Evolved Shaman, he evolves into an 8-drop.
Maybe it could be found in some cute Evolve Shaman deck again. Oh my god, this is always the Evolve Shaman thing.
So there is, I think, a small chance Quarter Creeper can still see some play.
So I think in in Evolved Shaman he might still get played, but besides that,
I think the card is not completely dead. It might be dead for a while.
you won't see it in Rogue anymore, you won't see it in Zoo, you won't see it in all these aggro decks.
But this is actually just terrible, right? Like 2-5 is really bad stats.
It's going to fix the problem that we see Quarter Creeper too much, but I think they killed a card that some people like, some people enjoy.
But that was a huge nerf. I did not expect it.
Don't count this card out.
Disenchant them and get your dust now.
How about our next nerf? We have... Batches! Oh my god, it finally happened.
He's just now getting nerfed. Pirates have been everywhere for like 13 months, and finally Patches gets nerfed.
Finally getting a nerf after all these years.
Patches was probably the biggest mistake ever.
And he's been the most played card, the most hated card in Hearthstone.
It's one of the worst cards that we ever had in Hearthstone.
Patches is going from a charging 1 mana 1/1 to a not charging 1 mana 1/1.
Patches the Pirate is no longer in charge anymore.
And a pretty simple change here, they're just taking charge away from Patches the Pirate.
Really big nerf.
That's a pretty big deal. But this is a very important nerf.
Well, he's balanced, I think.
Is gonna make Patches feel a lot more balanced.
Some decks were playing Patches with absolute trash tier pirates just because of Patches.
Like, when Druids start playing Patches the Pirate, you know there's something wrong.
Could maybe have done it a little bit in another way, but I think this way is fine.
You know, that was just crazy high power level.
Finally, he's gone.
And the reason Blizzard had to nerf this card is so they could actually make pirates in the future. Think about that.
I'm okay with that logic, that's a good reason to do it. I think they could have done the same thing in standard format a little sooner, so we didn't have to wait quite so long. All that said, still a good change.
Which makes it kind of weird because he says, I'm in charge now. So I guess the new voice line would be like, I'm in, and then insert Ben Bro laugh here or something like that. I don't know, like...
Patches, though, might still be in, just because Patches is still a 0 mana 1/1 draw card whenever you play a pirate effectively.
This is a good way to handle Patches moving forward. It's still a lot of value. It's still a totally free kind of card.
I think Patches is going from a card that just belongs in just about every single deck to a card that belongs probably pretty well fit in a pirate-filled deck.
And hey, that works. Like, you still get a lot of the same effect. You get to thin out your deck by pulling out a weak drop.
Patches is still going to be a good card in a pirate deck. It's not going to break the game, and honestly will help the pirate archetype.
It still synergizes with pirate stuff just fine.
If you play a pirate, you get a free 1/1.
He's not unplayable, Patches. He's still playable.
Like, it's still really good. If you think about it, it's still really good.
So I think they did pretty much the only reasonable thing here. All in all, I think this is a good nerf.
Raza got nerfed, which is a really big deal.
Raza! So, it is about time, Raza, that also you are gonna be getting nerfed.
If your deck has no duplicates, your hero power goes from 0 to 1.
You know, like when you nerf 0 to 1, it's like infinite percent nerf.
Since now, when you play Valen and then Mind Blast, you only have the ability to use your hero power once, pretty much.
So you can no longer OTK someone with the Shadow Reaper Anduin card.
I'm happy they nerfed Raza.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I am happy they didn't nerf Anduin because I don't think Anduin deserves it.
It makes the very commonly known one of combo priest, Razaka's priest, or as wild players like to call it, Reno combo priest.
Hey, a 1 mana hero power that does 2 damage is still really, really good. That can cycle forever. That's absurdly strong. Not as strong as we know it today, but still good enough to be a reason to include Raza and Anduin in your deck.
Best deck in Standard, best deck in Wild, to probably not the best deck in Standard or Wild.
Now the question is, will this completely kill Highlander Priest decks?
But it's still going to be pretty good, I think.
That you can, it's still a reasonable archetype.
Highlander Priest probably isn't dead because of it. You can still run the Highlander Priest without the Valen. And that's probably what the deck is going to turn into. And it's probably going to be an anti-aggro deck.
Now you are not able to deal much damage anymore, but you're still able to like go for a control game plan. You still will have a good matchup against aggro decks.
I don't believe Razaka's Priest will continue to be a tier 1 deck in either standard or wild, but I don't think it'll be not viable. So I think it'll still be pretty decent. I think it'll still be seeing some play, especially from people who really like the deck.
So I have a feeling that people are going to react to this nerf really negatively, and we won't see any Highlander Priest for the rest of standard format.
But it doesn't have like this huge burst damage anymore. So this control deck, what is a really cool control deck to play.
In wild format in particular, you'll still see some play from Raza and Highlander style Priest because Reno is in wild. And
So I think it's actually busted. This is actually great because I know a lot of people crafted Raza for Highlander Priest, and now like after the patch hits, you can actually get your dust back.
Really good nerf.
so I think Blizzard did a good job nerfing Raza here.
Not destroyed the card.
How does all of this shape up? Because it's a pretty interesting question.
They touched the right cards.
A lot of people believe that Q-Block, currently the only considered tier 1 deck in the meta right now,
Isn't Warlock just gonna be really good?
Warlock is already super strong.
that is completely unaffected by these card changes, they believe that this deck is absolutely going to dominate.
Cube Warlock does not get hit by any of these nerfs, and everyone is crying out.
Because like Q-Block is already so powerful. I was actually very surprised that Q-Block did not get a nerf. I was expecting.
So it feels like maybe Warlock might be dominant moving forward. That's kind of a scary thought.
0 cards are rotating for Warlock.
So I'm gonna expect a lot of Q-Block if I play standard.
Oh my god, it's gonna be Warlock Stone.
And yes, it's hard to disagree with that.
So yeah, that's it. We'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you so much for your support. And to all my subscribers with closed accounts, I don't know your nicknames, but thanks. Perhaps you will find something interesting here.
Here are some suggestions.
Job's done.